Hi, hey, hello, and welcome to another episode of a Colts podcast presented by Sports Illustrated's Horseshoe Huddle. My name is Brandon, and I am joined here by your co-host, my best friend, Andrew Moore. How are you today, kind sir? You've got a voice. We talked before. He has a voice, ladies and gentlemen.
My voice is all the way back. We're ready to go.
Does he have an internet connection, though? That's the best question.
My internet connection should be strong. It should.
We hear
be
you.
Strong.
You're good. You were just frozen for a second. I'm just giving you crap.
Well, let's go. Let's talk some Colts football. Big matchup this week. Colts on Monday Night Football. The only time this year they'll be on Monday Night Football, and it's against a tough Baltimore Ravens team that's 3-1. They're coming in here red hot, winning 3 straight, and the Colts are coming in after their first win of the season, but it's a completely different challenge against this Baltimore team. So I'm excited to break down the game with you, man.
I'm excited for the game. I'm bummed that we don't play until Monday night, but I'm glad we get to play on Monday night. You know what I mean? Just a heads up, next week's recording schedule gonna be different due to the Monday night game. We'll probably record Tuesday night to recap, and then Thursday night for
Thursday night or Friday night for the preview.
Might as well do Friday night. At least I'm not busy. I don't have plans. I don't know what you got going on. You've got I've got a fiance that works on Friday nights for the next 3 weeks apparently, so I'm covered. I'm good. Friday night's great for me. How about you guys? Let's talk about it, Andrew. Colts plus 225 at Ravens minus 280. The spread is 6.5, over under 45. I think it's a bit steep. I think it's a little wide. What do you think? I mean, do you think those are fair lines based on what you've seen so far out of Baltimore?
I think the spread could be a little bit closer. I definitely think Baltimore should be favored. Like I said, they're 3-1.
Oh, yeah.
Their only loss is in overtime against the Las Vegas Raiders, which was a wild game, by the way. But yeah, I mean, the Colts are 1-3. They beat a Dolphins team that while it was a 10-win team last year, the Dolphins are definitely struggling this year. Didn't have Tua Tagovailoa. Jacoby Brissett didn't play well, but the Colts were able to eke it out. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Colts attack this game, because the first 3 games of the season, the Colts saw really good quarterbacks in Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, and Ryan Tannehill. This week, we're getting to see Lamar Jackson. And like I said, it seems like typically this Colts defense, they really beat up the bad quarterbacks, but against the good quarterbacks usually have the advantage and usually have pretty decent games. So it's really going to be up to this Colts defense, I think, to step up. Obviously, Lamar Jackson's going to be the priority, and will we be able to contain him is the big question.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson, not only can we contain him, Andrew, but the problem is last week, especially, I saw highlights, he's thrown the ball in the pocket. He's which, by the way, he's been wanting to do for years, according to what he says. You know, whether or not he had the talent for it at the time, I don't know, but he's doing it now. He's making Hollywood Brown look like a great receiver. So I think, and we're going to get to the pressure, but I think a little more than just containing Lamar Jackson is going to be what we need. But in regards to containing him, something that has been troublesome for all NFL teams for the most part over the years, unless they're in the playoffs. What do you think about maybe? I assume I think this is what happened. What we did last year, Darius Leonard kind of being a spy on Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and I would assume so. I think Darius Leonard will probably be the main spy on Lamar Jackson. I don't think it'll be every single play. Obviously, the Colts defense is going to switch it up some, but I think you're going to see Darius Leonard really spying Lamar Jackson. That's what he did last year. He really stayed towards the middle of the field and tried to follow Lamar around. Last year, Darius Leonard had 13 tackles against the Ravens and led the team. He was all over the place. I fully expect that to be the case this year. Now, with Darius Leonard, not 100%, because while he did look a little bit better against the Dolphins, he still wasn't the 100% Darius Leonard that was flying all over the field. So right. I think the extra day of rest is definitely key to this. I think that it's very welcome to Darius Leonard's ankle that's continuing to be a problem this year, and I'm hoping that that extra rest can get Darius Leonard maybe a step ahead, and we see an even better version of Darius Leonard this week as well, because the Colts are going to absolutely need it. Darius Leonard has to play like the maniac that he is if the Colts want to have a chance, because like you said, not only is it containing Lamar Jackson with his rushes, and when he gets out and tries to take off, Lamar Jackson has really, I think, stepped it up a notch as a pocket passer this year. He's looking a lot better in that category. So not only is he going to have to be careful of that, but Darius Leonard's going to have to watch the middle of the field. All these cornerbacks are going to have to be on their toes, because you'll really need to, if they're in tight man coverage, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But in that zone coverage, the cornerbacks need to be ready. Whether we get Rocky Sin back this week, whether Xavier Rhodes is able to step up his performance, it's going to be a big challenge for this Colts defense.
At this point in Russell Wilson's career, I would call Lamar Jackson right now in the NFL the second most impressive quarterback on his feet. You probably thought I was going to say first. Might surprise you there. There's a young man named Kyler Murray, current MVP leader, that I just think is out of this world on his feet. He doesn't have the skill and the raw speed, I don't think, that Lamar has, but his presence and his feel in the pocket, and his ability to get away right when he needs to. It's like he eyes on the back of his head. But Lamar Jackson's right there, number 2, unbelievably fast, elusive is hell. I mean, that dude has got some moves. So we saw it firsthand last year in Indy. Baltimore, a hard place for Indianapolis to go play. It's like we left last week. Every time you go to Baltimore, it's like we left last week. So it's going to be tough for the defense. It's going to be even more difficult for the offense. But part of containing Lamar Jackson, like you said, is now he's going to throw the ball too. I think it's going to be a really, really difficult game for our secondary, which is why this next point is probably the most important. Can we put pressure on Lamar Jackson? Can we get him to feel uncomfortable in the pocket and cause him to make the mistakes and take a little pressure off of our DBs? What do you think it's going to look like this week in regards to the pass rush?
I think that the Colts are going to be very multiple in how they generate pressure. I don't expect it all to be on the front 4 guys. I fully expect to see quite a bit more blitzing this week than the Colts are used to. Seeing Kenny Moore come off the edge, maybe Darius Leonard coming down and really trying to attack Lamar Jackson. Bobby Okereke, the Colts have sent on some blitz, or Okereke, I should say. So it's
Okereke, or is it Okereke?
I thought it was Okereke or Okareke.
Let's get him on the show. Let's straighten this out. Bobby, if you're listening, we don't want to disrespect you. Please come on our show and we'll work this out.
I'm pretty sure it's Okereke. Well, that'll be my answer. But anyways,
future Hall of Famer.
That's what I think that's what we'll see this weekend on Monday night is multiple different blitz looks from the Colts, because I was looking at Lamar's stats this year, and Lamar Jackson has taken 11 sacks this year already. So he's got one more sack than even Carson Wentz has been hit. So it's not like he's immune to being sacked and being pressured in the pocket. The key is, when the Colts do bring that pressure, is not allowing him to escape the pocket, and that's when he's dangerous and makes plays. If you are going to bring that pressure, it needs to be, I don't want to overuse the word contained, but it needs to be almost like contained pressure while you bring that pressure, but you also have to make sure he doesn't escape the pocket. So good edge rushers or if Kwity Paye can come back, if Al-Quadin Muhammad is out there at left defensive end, those are guys that not only can they rush the passer, but they're good at setting the edge. And I think that's what needs to happen, is make sure that Lamar stays in the pocket, because when he gets out of the pocket, just like Russell Wilson, that's when he's most dangerous.
That's huge, Andrew. What you said there about setting the edge. If you're going to miss, make sure he's going to the inside of you. Do not let him get on the outside. Listen, Heidi, thanks for joining us. No free ads, but I'll just say, since about September 20th, I've maybe had 5 beers that were not at least some form of Oktoberfest. And perhaps Oktoberfest from that great brewery up northeast has been my preference since the Oktoberfests started coming out. But yeah, back to pressuring Lamar. Yeah, it's real key that if you're going to miss and force him inside so that other guys can help, because when he gets outside that edge, good luck.
Yeah, I'll even bring up a quote from Matt Eberflus here. This is actually a quote that I'm putting in my story. So he said, with Lamar, there's obviously the scramble factor and extension of plays. I think that the teams that do a good job, they're able to rush forward and coordinate that and be able to keep him in there. During the course of the game, he's always going to get free a few times. But as Matt Eberflus said, the key is to make sure that's a coordinated rush to make sure that he stays in the pocket, because, like I said, as soon as he gets out of the pocket, his danger level just skyrockets, and he always makes plays.
Run defense, Andrew. I feel like, I mean, I think both of us are going to go at least on the same side of the ball for the X factor of this game, which is the opposite of what most people probably think. The run defense, though, I mean, this team loves to run the ball. They are down some main running backs. You're calling it the biggest test for the run defense yet this year. Will you explain why you think it's the biggest test? Is it just because Lamar is still a run threat and he's going to have designed runs, or do you still believe in the people? I don't even know off the top of my head who the starting running back is right now for the Ravens.
So the starting running back is Tyson Williams. Then you got Latavius Murray and you got Devontae Freeman. They don't really have a set lead back. It's more of a running back by committee. But the thing is, just like the Colts, they have even though they've been hit with injuries, those are three solid backs.
Especially, I think Latavius Murray was an excellent pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, and then when you pair that with Lamar Jackson and his running ability, that's where that danger level and where that threat comes in, because the Ravens are the 7th ranked rushing offense in the entire league. Now, when you thought about earlier this year when J.K. Dobbins went down, when
Gus
Edwards went down, it seemed like every other day you saw a Ravens running back going down with injury. And yet they're still a top 10 rushing team. That just kind of, not only it show the talent and the threat that running game presents, it's also a big ode to the offensive line. The offensive line for the Ravens has stayed stout and has really opened holes for whoever is running the ball back there. And the Colts so far this year, before the Dolphins game where they really stepped up and they only gave up about 35 yards rushing, the Colts were giving up 140 yards a game on the ground. And this is an area that in Matt Eberflus's defense, since he joined the Colts in 2018, the Colts have been very strong against the run, and it's just been very different to see them not be as strong and not have that be one of the key factors for this Colts defense. So while you had a good game against the Dolphins, the Ravens are a completely different animal, and the Colts are really going to have to be on their toes if they don't want this running game to take over and the Ravens just to drive down the field by pounding the ball.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, we've been saying it all year. I don't think our defense has been playing at the level that I think they're capable of playing. I think that they're slowly improving, but we didn't play a very good offense last week. If we're being completely fair, the Miami Dolphins offense, it's a tongue twister. Their offense is not very good. So the Ravens is. Their offense is good. So I don't know. The run, though, like you said, has been our strongest spot. I think we were top 5, top 3 last year against the run, even throughout the rest of the season. I mean, at one point we were a top 5 defense. That kind of fell through because of the secondary, but we maintained that run defense that was so great. I don't know. We'll see. The defense is going to be the biggest question mark going into this week, I think. Real quick, do you think so? These Baltimore games, do you think the whole, the Colts left Baltimore juice has left a little bit since Peyton left? I feel like it was still so heated back then because it was a lot closer. Peyton actually was young and old enough to remember it. I don't know. I feel like the animosity and the heat between our team and the Ravens has kind of cooled off ever since Peyton left. Like none of the other players now probably even remember when that move happened.
I don't really think it's that. I think the fans have more animosity about it than the players do. I also think kind of the rivalry between a Peyton Manning and a Ray Lewis and like a Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne against Ed Reed. That also kind of fueled things. And I mean, it eventually could turn into that with like a Lamar Jackson versus Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner, but I just don't think it's there yet. So I wouldn't consider this necessarily a rivalry game until these teams maybe meet in the playoffs and have some playoff games that go down to the wire. But the historical part of it, where I mean the Colts obviously leaving Baltimore, I think fans play more into that than the players do now.
It certainly just doesn't feel the same as it used to. I remember it being like you could feel it when those two teams were playing. Who knows? They'll talk. I mean, they'll talk about it. It's a primetime game. It's going to get talked about on the broadcast Monday, so maybe that'll bring it back. Listen, this is going to be a topic, I think, every week until we go, holy hell, we're back. The offensive line. Okay, a big topic again. Protecting Carson Wentz. Andrew, you talked about the Colts blitzing more this week against Lamar, possibly, but the Ravens like to blitz more than any other team in the NFL. Carson Wentz, not quite a statue anymore, but definitely not the athletic specimen, we'll say, that he's been in the past due to those ankles. And obviously, hopefully we're going to see a little more mobility again this week, and then again next week, as long as he. I'm not even going to say it. But he's going to have to get rid of the ball faster. I don't care how much better he's feeling this week against the blitzes of the Ravens. He's going to have to move or get rid of the ball a lot faster. Is that what you believe is the key to Carson Wentz protecting himself, maybe, and kind of taking the offensive line out of it a little bit?
I really do. And I think we saw kind of some of that last week against the Dolphins. I mean, I remember after week 3, we talked about how Carson Wentz really needs to utilize those crossing routes. And he went to the film, he looked at it, and he did exactly that against the Dolphins. In my piece on the Wentz film review that came out today, I highlighted that. I mean, there were multiple crossing routes that he hit to Michael Pittman, to Zach Pascal, that to even dumping the ball off to Nyheim Hines or Marlon Mack. Those are what he's going to have to really pay attention to, because this Ravens defense, like you mentioned, they are the highest blitzing defense in the entire league. They come from all different angles, and they're relentless. And especially if the Colts have Julian Davenport still in there, if Braden Smith has to miss another game with this foot sprain, it's gonna be tough for this Colts offensive line to sustain that. So it's really gonna take getting the ball away quickly. It's going to take making sure he doesn't hold on to it too long or try to extend plays too long, like that one play on third down last week where he starts to roll out of the pocket and he's outside the pocket, and it's on the third down, but at the same time, man, there's nothing there. You got bum ankles. Throw it away, punt the ball away, and live to fight another day. So I think that's something that we need to see. And if this pressure really starts getting to Carson Wentz, number one, until he's 100% healthy, you always have to think of, is he going to injure those ankles worse or get them caught up in there where he ends up being out?
There's a few he got landed on that I was crossing my fingers,
where he's out for a very long period of time, and just the unnecessary hits that he's going to take. So the Colts really need to be smart about this and I'm not saying that it needs to be 5-yard passes every play. Obviously, I want the Colts to take their shots as well to open up the defense. But when he starts to feel that pressure, I think Carson Wentz really needs to know where his outs are, where his checkdowns are. If there is a short crosser to get the ball away, that's going to be key. Just don't hold on to the ball too long when you have a defense that blitzes as often as Baltimore does.
You said something there about throwing the ball away, and I know what play you're talking about, where he got outside on third down and he took a sack instead, right? What has he thrown the ball away a single time this year? Has he thrown the ball out of bounds one time? I know he tried to throw it away at one point when he was getting sacked and took an intentional grounding. Has he chucked it out of bounds yet? I can't think of an example in my head.
I've seen him throw it away a few times watching the film back. There have been times where he's thrown it out of bounds or thrown it at, especially in the Tennessee game where he threw it at the feet of the running backs
Yeah.
whenever he was feeling pressure. But I just think that that's something that the Colts are trying to not only work out of him, but it's also something that's just in Carson's DNA, where he's got that Andrew Luck quality to him, where he thinks he can make a play on every single play, and
I know.
just it's like it's good in some instances, obviously, when we see some of the heroic plays that he makes, but then there's the other side to it where it can be disastrous. So this week, especially though, with how often they blitz, and we're probably going to see a high amount of pressure on Carson Wentz. It's going to be up to him to get rid of the ball and know where his checkdowns are.
Kyle says a couple last week, but Kyle, are you sure they were on purpose? Are we sure those weren't just overthrows? Because
I did see a couple times in the film he did throw it away.
Okay. One season, hey man, Colts can't get into third and long to keep pressure off. Run the ball, I'd say, is key in short and manageable. I agree with that, and that kind of takes us into our next topic here. Are we going to be able to run the damn ball? We obviously put some emphasis on it last week. Ravens, though, 7th best in rush yards allowed this year. Andrew, can we overcome that? Do you think? I think we can overcome it, but I love what Wentz season had to say about those third and longs. I was just like talking to myself about that last week during the game. Like, we've got to stop being in these positions. Can we run the ball and give Carson a little more to work with on third down?
I think they can. I think that has to be a staple, because otherwise, if you put the ball just in Carson's hands when he's not fully healthy and try to make him throw it 40 times a game, the Colts aren't going to win this game. The Colts really have to pound the ball with Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines, get Marlon Mack involved as well, get all three of these running backs. And you saw that the Colts had success. I mean, Eric Fisher, even though he wasn't great in pass protection, he did contribute into the running game. Chris Reed was constantly getting the second level. Ryan Kelly probably had his best game of the year last week. So the Colts can still move the ball on the ground. The thing is, if the Ravens do crowd up on the line of scrimmage, try to take the running game away and force everything on Carson Wentz, are the Colts still going to try to stick with it and go man on man and just try to win the play? Or is Carson going to check out of it and really put the pressure on himself to go and deliver? That's going to be key. They really can't get away from the run. And I know a lot of factors go into that, because if the Ravens get off to a big lead, obviously you're going to call less running plays, stuff like that. But at the same time, I mean, it takes the whole team effort to not let the Ravens get such a big lead that you have to completely abandon the running game. The running game has to be a primary focus again in this game. And I think we're going to say this each week until we have a fully healthy offensive line and a fully healthy Carson Wentz, that the running game has to be what drives this thing until that happens. Otherwise you're giving away one of your strengths, and you're making the weakness of a bum Carson Wentz when he's injured, not having 100% Eric Fisher, no Quentin Nelson, no Braden Smith, and putting it all on their shoulders. It's just not a good recipe for success.
Is our offensive line going to open up any holes? That's a deciding factor. Well, they opened up some holes last week. That hole they opened up on the Jonathan Taylor touchdown run was about as wide as the Red Sea when I parted it back in the day. So I sure do hope so. Absolutely. Andrew, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that really is going to be a determining factor. Can we see the same success and the same execution that the Colts offensive line had a week ago? Obviously, it's a bigger threat, but we expect that out of this Colts offensive line. Whether Quentin Nelson is in there or not, Chris Reed has shown that he's more than capable of being a good starter. The Colts offensive line, we expect them to be a top 5 unit, especially if they can get Braden Smith back this week. That's going to be a huge help, because Julian Davenport is out of there, and that cannot come soon enough. So I think that's going to be huge if the Colts can get Braden Smith back. If not, it's definitely going to be a much bigger struggle for this team.
X factors, defense, just all of them. I don't care how they do it. If we hold the Ravens to fewer points than us, if we're able to maintain the Ravens offense, just hold them. I know we're not going to keep them under double digits or something insane. I'd be happy with somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 points. I think if we can keep them around 20 points or less, I think we definitely win this football game. So the biggest X factor, and that's going to be the defense. What's your biggest X factor?
So my X factor is it's gonna zero in a little bit more, but it's Darius Leonard. It really is, because not only is Darius Leonard going to be the spy, Darius Leonard's not 100%. And honestly, it's probably
I meant to mention that earlier.
It's probably going to take a maniac performance for the Colts to beat the Baltimore Ravens on Monday night.
This is the type of game he steps up for, though.
This is the type of game he normally steps up for. It's just how healthy is that ankle going to be? Because you and I both, we've talked about it on air, off air, when just seeing Darius Leonard move out there, especially when he gets like that interception or he picked up that fumble last week.
Yeah.
He just looks slow. He looks really slow out there. And I know Darius Leonard isn't maybe the greatest coverage linebacker either, but it seems like there's just so many more gaps in coverages and plays his way in coverage as well. And that all needs to be cleaned up. Hopefully this extra day of rest really helps out that ankle, and we can see a better version of Darius Leonard, because you're absolutely right. He does normally step up in these big games. Usually we see a 13 to 14 tackle performance with a couple for a loss and maybe even a turnover generated from Darius Leonard. And I really think it's going to take one of those vintage maniac all-pro performances for the Colts to have a chance.
I agree. All right, your prediction then, Andrew.
Unfortunately, I am not taking the Colts this week. I'm taking the Ravens. I do think the Colts cover. You said the spread was 6.5. I do think the Colts cover, but I'm not sure that defense, just the way they're playing, I'm not sure I have enough confidence that they can slow down Lamar Jackson. And then especially with the chance of Braden Smith missing his 4th straight game and having the liability of Julian Davenport in there, I think it's going to be tough for this team to really get things going if Braden Smith isn't in there and doesn't give Carson Wentz the appropriate amount of time that he needs. So my score, I think I'm going to go Ravens 27, Colts 20.
Predictions in the chat.
Wait, actually, no. Let me take that back. I'm going to go Colts 21, Ravens 27.
Wow, barely covering, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey guys, let's see your predictions in the chat too here. I don't want to do it. It's too early in the week.
It's tough when it's a Monday night game, and we don't even have an injury report for the Colts yet.
Don't you have sources, Andrew? I thought we had perks with this Sports Illustrated stuff. Where are your guys? Who are your people?
I do have sources, but this injury, the Colts are very tight-lipped on the injury front.
Yeah, I know. I think the Colts are going to hold the Ravens to 17 points.
Wow.
2 weeks in a row, 17 points. And I think the Colts are going to score 24 points.
You're taking the Colts.
Colts. Mark it down. Colts. On video and on paper here soon. We've got a Wentz season out on a limb. You and me both, pal. 30-24 Colts. Anybody else want to give me some predictions here? Kyle, you're in here. You like what? What's your prediction?
One thing I do want to show here is what Kyle said. Kyle said the player only meeting definitely showed promise with the defense as a whole last week, and I definitely think that's true. That player only meeting really brought out a different side of the defense, and the defense wasn't even satisfied with the performance against the Dolphins. They came out, and Darius Leonard said after the game that they hated that they didn't finish strong and gave up those 2 touchdowns at the very end of the game. So if the Colts defense defense can play like that again and really force the Baltimore Ravens to be uncomfortable and force some turnovers, then I would give the edge to the Colts. As of right now, though, it's just I don't have that confidence, and I'd love to be proved wrong. I really would. Colts defense, I really hope you go out there and show me that I'm wrong. Show me that last week wasn't just a fluke, and now you can do that against a good quarterback and a great team.
Yeah. All right. There they are. There's the predictions. Other Colts news: injuries. The ones we know of now. Offensive tackle Braden Smith still dealing with a foot. Defensive end Kwity Paye hamstring. I would hope he'd be able to play this week. I don't know for sure, but unless there's something seriously wrong with the hamstring, I'm hoping a good 2 weeks rest is enough. Cornerback Rocky Sin ankle, and safety Corey Willis growing. Do we know of any of those for sure that are out for the week?
All of them have a chance to play.
Colts 27, Ravens 17.
None of them have been officially ruled out. You'd like to see at least the defensive guys come back because, again, that's going to be the deciding factor is probably this Ravens offense versus the Colts defense. And then obviously we all know Braden Smith's impact, but officially none of them have been ruled out, and they're all still being evaluated. All have a chance to play on Monday night.
I love that pick, Kyle. 27-17, same scores last week. That'd be awesome. I'd take it too. Other Colts news. Apparently, Andrew and I forgot to pick the proper player of the game in our recap episode. Punter Rigoberto Sanchez named AFC Special Teams Player of the Week for Week 4. 4 punts, 200 yards, a long of 57 yards, and 2 down inside the 20. Thank you, Demon Boy. Colts O-line looks weak. Look, first time listener, I assume, because we've been talking about that for a long time, pal. You are correct. Real weak. Good for Rigo. Anything to say about our punter, Andrew?
Rico's a weapon. He's shown that that he is a weapon on a weekly basis. I always think it's funny when he'll kick a punt and you hear, just because he's a directional punter and he's not a guy that will boot it 60 yards. Every time he kicks it over to the side, you hear the crowd go, ooh, and thinking it's a bad punt. And usually it's just right next to the sideline, just a good 50 yards down the field, and the Colts immediately wrap the guy up. So Good for Rigo, especially, this guy is less than a year removed from having cancer, and he's out there winning Special Teams Player of the Week. You'll love to see it.
Really tough that Doolin didn't get much love on that. I disagree. We gave him love. We talked about that play. That was a great tackle by Aston Doolin. Colts signed tight end Michael Jacobson to the practice squad and released tight end David Wells from the practice squad. Andrew really likes to include the most important things in the Colts news for the week, and I respect that.
You never know. Maybe one of these practice squad guys will absolutely blow up, and then you heard it here first on a Colts podcast of the Colts signing them. But Michael Jacobson, tight end, he's like 6'7". He was a college basketball player. So, hey, you never know. Maybe he'll turn into a Travis Kelce or something. I don't know.
That's a hilarious comment. I can't get over it. Colts O-line looks weak. Yes, I know. Monday Night Football this past week, Andrew. Chargers beat the Raiders 28-14. Nobody that I said would scored. The over didn't hit. And the Raiders didn't cover. So my same game parlay lost. However, I did put money on the Chargers, straight up money line. So I still made money that night. Positive for me. You have anything to say about that game besides Justin Herbert is
really good at football. That's pretty much all I'm going to say. The Chargers, I really like their coach, Brandon Staley, and I love Justin Herbert. I think the Chargers are going to be good for a long time.
I'm to the point now where I think the Chargers are going to win the division.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
Listen, let's not act like I said something insane.
You didn't say something insane, but still just because of how good Kansas City has been for so long, to see that happen, that'd be pretty cool.
I know that Kansas City's offense looks pretty good. I don't think Kansas City as a whole is very good this year. And their record shows it compared to other years. Now, they could make me eat my words and they could win the rest of the games this season, but The Chargers beat them in Kansas City, and I think saying the Chargers are going to win the division, I don't think that's that wild. Pick 'em standings. Andrew and I, we like to pick games. We like to see who picks more games correctly. And damn, Andrew closed some ground this week. I had a rough week.
Don't call it a comeback, but I put a mollywhopping on you. I'm only one game behind in the standings.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you.
The record is Brandon is 38-26 at 59%. I am 37-27 at 58%. So only one game behind. Week 5 is going to be a crucial matchup to see if I can finally take the lead over you.
I am having all of the allergy issues tonight, so I'm just so sorry for itching my eyes and rubbing my nose and doing this, whatever that is. Hey, listen. If you're listening to this podcast and you're wondering what I'm doing right now, like this, hop on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube too, so you can see what I'm doing with my face. Week 5. Okay, Brandon, me 38-26, 59%. Andrew 37-27, 58%. So he's a game behind. I have a feeling we're going to disagree on some games this week, maybe even the first one out of the gate. Let's get it started. Tomorrow night, Andrew, the Rams play at Seattle. The public is on the Rams. I'm with the public. Who are you with?
I'm with the public as well. I don't think the Rams are going to take 2 losses in a row, especially after that beatdown that the Arizona Cardinals put on them. Even though it is at home for Seattle, and that's a big factor, I think this Rams team is going to be pretty good and ready to redeem themselves. So I'm going Rams.
Jets at Falcons. Andrew.
This one's tough. I want to pick. I mean, my head says pick the Falcons. Every time I pick the Falcons, they screw me. I'm not going to do it. I'm going with the Jets. I'm going with Zach Wilson, and I think they're going to keep rolling. They had a really good game against the Titans.
I thought you were going to pick the Falcons. I really did. I'm picking the Jets as well. I was going to pick the Jets. I was sitting on this one as like, oh, here we go. There's one we disagree on. Green Bay at Cincinnati. I struggled with this harder than I should have because the Bengals are making me question if they're for real. But at this point, the biggest win they have is against the Steelers still, right? And I don't think the Steelers are going to have a winning record this year. I think Mike Tomlin's going to get his first losing record. I think the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger stink. Their defense is still pretty good, but they're not carrying them like last year. So I'm taking the Packers.
I'm taking the Packers as well. This one was pretty easy for me. Just kind of seeing how they played against Jacksonville last week. I think the Bengals are taking a step, but they're not taking a Packers step. Packers are going to win.
Lions, Vikings. I'm going Vikings.
I'm going to go Vikings as well.
Their defense looks good.
I picked Detroit last week, thought they'd get off the schneid. They didn't. And the Vikings, they seem like they just play every game very, very close and lose at the final second. I think they'll handle the Lions this week.
Especially at home against a divisional opponent. Yeah. Andrew, before we do this one, do you have any more info from, was it earlier today? Yeah, it was earlier today. I'm trying to make a bet here. Broncos at Steelers. Do we know yet, hours later after I asked you originally, is Teddy Two Gloves playing or he's still in the protocol?
He's still in the protocol. He's still being evaluated. He has not been ruled out. But as of right now, Drew Lock will be getting or got all the first team reps today.
Can we make this a conditional pick? Can we lock this pick in later before the start of the week? Because if Teddy Two Gloves plays, I think the Broncos win for sure. If Teddy does not play, I think the game's a lot closer.
I think regardless, the Broncos win the game. So I'm going to go Broncos.
I'll pick Broncos.
I'm picking the Broncos. I really don't like how Ben Roethlisberger has looked. I really don't. And I think that's going to be, especially against a Broncos defense that has a lot of good players, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up, even with Drew Lock in there. If Drew Lock is in there, it's going to be a gross, ugly game, but I still think the Broncos pull it out.
Miami at Tampa Bay. With Tua, without Tua, with Deshaun Watson, with Dan Marino, I think the Buccaneers win this football game over the Dolphins.
I'm going Bucks as well. This one's a pretty easy pick. I really don't think the Dolphins are going to put up much of a fight.
Saints at Washington. I'm not picking this one first.
Of course you're not. You want to just give it to me. It's going to be the same thing every week.
Is he back yet? Is Fitz back? I don't even remember what's wrong with Fitz. Why is he out?
I'm pretty sure Fitzpatrick had something really bad happen to his hip. He's gone for a while. So it's the Taylor Heineke show.
He is old.
Against famous Jameis.
Did the Saints win last week?
They did not. I don't think.
All right, Saints win.
So I'm going to go with the Saints. I think
we're on an every other week thing.
We're picking every single one the same this week. Saints are going to win. I just don't know. I still have faith in that Saints defense, and I don't think Taylor Heineke is going to be able to have a good game against them.
I think we might pick every game the same this week because I'm going with the Panthers next, and I assume you are as well.
I am going Panthers. They've been making quite the headlines today as well. But, yeah, the Eagles' defense just looks atrocious. I think Sam Darnold's going to have a pretty big game.
Hey, you guys could shout out your picks in here too, or we got Bad Beats with Brandon coming up soon. If you want to drop any locks in the chat for some gambling this weekend, I will shout them out. Tennessee at Jacksonville, Tennessee.
Yeah, pretty easy.
And Pats next.
Tennessee, Urban Meyer, man, he just keeps getting in worse and worse trouble. I don't see how he makes it out of this season.
Tell these people with the cameras to mind the business, This wouldn't have happened 30 years ago.
I mean, regardless, it wasn't good. He's a dirtbag.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing to do. But people do it every day, and they're not having that press conferences about it. It's real weird. Stephen Holder tweeted today, I'm not sure fans realize how odd it is that Urban Meyer didn't ride the team plane home. That's not something that happens in the NFL, apparently. Okay.
Yeah. Jacksonville, I mean, poor Trevor Lawrence, man.
Tim Tebow. Hired as the Jacksonville team life coach. The organizational life coach. So
his first meeting needs to be with Urban Meyer.
Yeah, he needs to show Urban the Lord. Patriots at Texans. Again, if Matt Schaub were playing for the Texans, Patriots win this football game.
Mac Jones looks really good as a young quarterback. Davis Mills does not. Pretty simple. Mac Jones and the Patriots win.
Davis Mills looks real bad. Bears at Las Vegas.
I almost kind of want to pick the Bears. I mean, Justin Fields was named the starter. Today, Justin Fields was named the starter.
Last I heard.
We'll get to it in NFL news. The Raiders, you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to pick the Bears. I'll pick the Bears this week to beat the Raiders.
No way am I picking the Bears. Browns at Chargers. I'm going Browns.
Interesting. I mean, I love the Browns defense, but again, I love Justin Herbert. I'm going Chargers.
I call him Baker Showtime Mayfield. He's heading to LA, where I'm sure he loves the strippers, and he's going to win that football game.
He's a married man.
Chargers are coming off of a few big wins. And I mean, they got to lose one somewhere, again. So I think the Browns defense is good. I think their run game's good. And their pass rush is good. I think Justin Herbert might have one of the old welcome to the NFL type games and get a little beat up. So, but that was a hard pick. That's one of my, little upsets I got to throw in. Giants at Cowboys. I am going to go with the Cowboys, but we'll talk more about them during BBW.
I'm going Cowboys as well. The Cowboys are absolutely rolling. The Giants had a good game last week. Danny Dimes was looking good. Saquon looks fully healthy now, but I think the Cowboys are just going to be too much. 49ers, Cardinals. I think this one's pretty simple. I'm going Cardinals at home. They've just looked fantastic. The 49ers, not only is it not only is it up in the air that Jimmy G is playing, or is it going to be Trey Lance? But either way, I think that they won't be able to stop the Cardinals.
Same. I'm going with Cardinals. Here you go, Andrew. We're going to find out this week if the Kansas City Chiefs are good at football still, because the Buffalo Bills somehow are the underdog. The Buffalo Bills are still not getting picked by the public here. The Bills are going to Kansas City. If Kansas City loses at home again, I don't care if it's the Bills. If Kansas City loses at home again, they're going to lose the division, maybe make the playoffs, and they're going to lose in the first round. Bills. I'm picking Bills.
See, I'm going Chiefs.
Go ahead. I can't wait to watch that football game Sunday night.
It's going to be a fun one. It's weird because the Bills have been crushing everybody, but I was looking to see who the Bills played. They really haven't played anybody yet. So this is their first real test. I'm not saying they're not going to live up to it. I'm definitely not saying that because I think the Bills were my pick to win the Super Bowl, but I just think the
Bills stumbled to the Steelers, right? Or is that one they won? Who'd they lose to? So
I think they lost to the Steelers, but ever since then they've been on a tear. But the tear that they've been on hasn't been against great football teams.
Yeah, but they shut them out.
They did, and that's what I said. It's not like I'm discrediting them, but I just want to see what they do against a really good football team in the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's at Arrowhead too, and it's going to be a crazy environment. So I'm going Chiefs.
I'm going to go Bills 35, Chiefs 24.
Interesting.
I think the Bills are going to wallop. I think the Bills are going to wallop the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense is bad. It's bad. And Josh Allen's awesome. Patrick Mahomes is not going to be able to keep up with Josh Allen this week. That's just
to see.
Bills are going to score the most points in the league this week too. Who's going to score the least amount of points in the league this week, Andrew?
The Atlanta Falcons, because I picked against them. No, since I picked against them, they'll probably score the most. Let's go. Jacksonville. Jacksonville has that's
always a safe bet.
Yeah.
Andrew says, yeah.
Especially with everything going on. Not good.
All right. Oh, come on, DraftKings. All right. We got any picks in here? Any locks? You mean a really good offense? I don't know. At this point, Kyle, I already forget what I was talking about. Gotta be quicker than that. News around the league. Injuries. Bears running back David Montgomery, knee sprain, out 4 to 5 weeks. Lions center Frank Ragnow, turf toe, placed on IR. Patriots trade cornerback Stephon Gilmore to the Panthers for a 2023 6th-round pick. Here, I want to share something about that, Andrew, that Tyler was real proud of. He sent me a post from Twitter. He said, you can knock Chris Greer all you want. Doesn't change the fact that he just got the same value for Jakeem Grant as the Pats did for an all-pro corner. Which, when you word it that way, is kind of unfair because, he's over 30 and injured. But
he's over 30. He's injured. He wants a new deal. So that they were very limited in who they could trade him for, considering he wants a deal upwards of $15 million a year. Right. That's tough. And I also don't think that the Patriots wanted to trade him inside the AFC. So for all the Colts fans out there that said, the Colts he only gave up a 6th-round pick. Well, number one, the Colts have $1.3 million in cap space. They can't afford Stephon Gilmore without making a bunch of different moves. Chris Ballard doesn't trade for guys that are over 30 years old and guys that want $15 million a year over 30 years old. So there was no chance that he was coming to the Colts.
Not a chance.
He does go back home. He's from Carolina. He went to college at South Carolina. So it's like almost a homecoming for Stephon.
Carolina's in North Carolina, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I just want to be sure that you understand that because there's a big difference.
The Carolina area. So the Carolinas, I should say. But yeah, very big news. And the Panthers just keep adding to that secondary. Now, Stephon Gilmore, once JC Horn is back, they just got CJ Henderson in a trade. That's going to be a very formidable secondary.
Patriots signed linebacker Jamie Collins. Didn't he used to play there?
He did. He just got released by the Lions, was it last week? And then since they have cap space, they signed Jamie Collins.
Cowboys release linebacker, Fort Wayne native, Jalen Smith. Colts fans, get ready. He signed with the Packers. Sucks to suck. Andrew, were you interested in Jalen Smith for the few hours that we thought that was a slim possibility?
I thought it was interesting. I don't know if the Colts really should have. I don't think they unless he signed for like a veteran minimum, I don't think he was going to come to the Colts, especially because of how high the Colts are on Bobby Okereke, which is where Jalen Smith would play, obviously, is that Mike linebacker spot. I mean, phenomenal guy, great character guy. He would have fit right in with this Colts culture. I just didn't see necessarily the money working out, and as well as really the timing of everything.
Sure.
But I mean, I would have given him a shot on the Colts to see what he can do, because it seemed like his best years were in a Rod Marinelli Tampa 2 defense when he was able to play the mic. So I think he would have fit into the scheme very well.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought was, maybe the scheme would fit him a little better and he'd be set up for success a little better than he is currently, but it's not an option now. So, oh well. Bears announced quarterback Justin.
I did mispronounce Okereke again. It's going to be tough for me to quit saying Okereke.
Bears announced quarterback Justin Fields will be the starting QB moving forward. You heard it from me just now first.
Oh, yeah.
Dolphins trade wide receiver Jakeem Grant to the Bears for a 2023 6th-round pick. That's a team that I think is hurting for weapons. So good for the Bears, I guess. Anything on that? Honestly, I mean,
Jakeem Grant was the guy that Tyquan Lewis absolutely threw out of the club the other day against the Dolphins. So it's kind of funny to see that play happen, and then this week he gets shipped out of town. But we'll see if it really makes a big difference with the Bears.
Set on down to Bad Beats with Brandon. Okay.
Let's win some money.
Let's win some money today. Bad Beats with Brandon. This is the part where I give you bets. Kyle Stewart even called you out for it. Hey, let me see, guys. If you're a betting man, betting woman, let's see some in the chat. Doing a little Bad Beats with Brandon here. Should we start with parlay? No, let's start with my standalone bets. Tomorrow night, I got $50 on the LA Rams to win outright to pay out $85. That's at minus 140. I wanted to go to I am going to place a bet on this. The Giants +7 at minus 110, I think is a lock. I think you lock it up. I love that rivalry. I think the Giants always come to play the Cowboys. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So I think, +7 on the Giants. I don't think they win. Now, moving along to the Never Gonna Win parlay. Today you have 14 picks at +93,375. $5 bet will win you $4,600, 73 on top of that, and another 77 cents. Why did I say it like that? I don't know, but let's get started. The LA Rams -140. The New York Jets +140. The Green Bay Packers -160. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers minus a big fat 490. Tennessee Titans -200. The Patriots -410. The Minnesota Vikings -400. Carolina Panthers -190. New Orleans Saints -135. The Raiders -225. The Browns plus 110. The New York Giants +7 at -110. And the Cardinals are at -235. And then here you go. Sunday Night Football. The Buffalo Bills +130. Guys, I think you're winning a lot of money this weekend if you play that parlay. I think you are winning a lot of money if you hit that parlay this week. I'm just telling you. I think you got the opportunity to listen. You know what? Half of the people listening probably don't even bet. This is probably their least favorite segment of our show. They probably roll their eyes, turn off the podcast when I start talking about it. But this week, sign up for one of the places. You'll get some kind of sign-on bonus, risk-free money. Throw it on that parlay. Make some money this weekend. I am encouraging gambling, which I do believe is illegal on shows like this.
You just have to say bet responsibly.
Gamble responsibly. I am not a professional gambler. Whatever I'm supposed to say, insert here. Go follow us, guys. Forgot to put this up earlier because I'm bad at my job. Go follow us at a Colts podcast, a Colts podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Go find us. They're all up again. No worries. As we have some people watching here on Facebook. Tell your friends about us too. Why not? Why wouldn't you try? Do you remember that? Why wouldn't you try?
The old Pat podcast.
Yep, I know. I just love other podcasts. I just do. And that's just a fact. Andrew, do you have anything else?
Going to be a tough one Monday night. I think that the Colts can win the game. They're just going to have to play up to the level that we know they can play at. So it's either way, it's going to be a fun game, I think. And hopefully the Colts prove us wrong and come out on top.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a long weekend waiting for it. Keep an eye on the social media channels to be reminded when we're going to be airing next. And until Tuesday night, everybody, go Colts.
Go Colts.
Let this moment become a cherished memory. And then remember, a legacy is only worthwhile when there is a future to fuel. God bless you, and God bless football.